Hey everyone, so today I'm going to show you how to give your horse a bath. So at the time we're filming this video, we're almost at 5,000 subscribers. So I just want to thank you guys so much for supporting us and watching our videos. Why don't you leave a comment down below of the type of videos you would like to see us do in the future. And if you haven't already, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more weekly horse videos. So before we give the horse a bath, let's actually go over the supplies you'll need. So to start out, you're gonna need a bucket, and I just got my lovely blue turquoise bucket here. The next thing I have is obviously my horse shampoo, and I just use mane and tail. You see this? And then I also use a sponge. So I'm gonna use a sponge on more sensitive areas of the horse instead of the scrub brush. And I'm also gonna use a scrub brush, and this is to really work the dirt out of the horse's coat. And lastly, you're gonna need a hose to spray off your horse. So the first thing I'm gonna do is put my shampoo in this bucket here. And that way, it's just easy to absorb it into the sponge and then put it on the horse and scrub them. So I will put this off to the side for now. So the next thing I'm gonna do is hose my horse off and get him all nice and wet so then I can give him a bath. So I'll turn on my water here. And I don't want it shooting out so hard, so I can go for a lighter setting like that. That's nice. So what I'm gonna do to get my horse wet is I'm first gonna start at their feet, and this is just gonna let him know that the water is coming up his body. And it's also going to let him get used to the temperature of the water. So if the water is a little bit more cold, this is going to help him get used to it so it's not such a shock when I spray it on him. Tucker's a dancer. He likes to dance around with water. It's okay. Okay, since I've hosed this side off, I'm going to move on to the next side and get him all wet over there too. So now that I've got Tucker all wet, what I'm gonna do is I'm first gonna wash his face before I get the rest of his body. And this way we'll just get this out of the way. So a lot of horses do not like their face washed off. So I'm gonna show you a few options you can use to help wash their face off and get them used to water on their face, because I think that's what the horses don't like. So I will go ahead and show you guys. So one way you can get your horse's head wet is by just turning on your hose like a really low water pressure. And this is just more inviting to them. It's not going to be so rough on their face compared to if you're just spraying them full blast. Something you can do is most horses will play in the water with their nose. So I'll just let him play with it so he can get used to it on his face. And Tucker is one where he does like to play with it. Look at him. But then I can start working just under his chin. And it's that light pressure, so he's going to be more accepting of it. And I'll just, and it may throw their head up, but you just want to be careful and gentle. If you're doing this and your horse completely freaks out, just release the pressure by moving the water back down to a place they're comfortable. So if your horse is comfortable with the water on their nose, then you can move it back there. So if I start working up and he starts freaking out, I'll just move the water back down to where he's comfortable, and I'll just go from there. Good boy. So another method you can use to wet down your horse's face is to dampen a sponge, and then I can just wipe his face with it. Good boy. You know, it's gentle, but I can also apply the water to his head, and I can get his forelock and around his eyes. Good boy. So when it comes to actually washing the horse's face, I'm actually going to put the shampoo in my hands, and that's just because it's a little bit more gentle, and if the horse is used to you petting their face, then they shouldn't have a problem with you just petting them with shampoo in your hand. And get your face all nice and clean. I'll clean this star because I can tell it's dirty. I can see dirt in it. So the biggest thing to remember when you're washing the face is just avoid getting shampoo in the horse's eyes. You can use like baby shampoo if you want to be extra careful, and baby shampoo is a little bit more sensitive, so if they do get it in their eyes, it's not going to be as bad. So now I'm going to rinse his face off, and I'm just going to do it the exact same way that I got it wet. I'll just start towards the mouth. Where's my way at? One thing you can do to get the forelock all washed out once there's shampoo in it, I pull it behind the horse's ear, and I'll go from here And this way the shampoo can't run into their eyes. And so I'll just wet it from up here. Good boy. You're being so good. Yeah. So if your horse does do better with the sponge, that's another thing to consider. You could just wet your sponge again and just kind of encourage the shampoo off the face. It may take a little longer, but you'll get to the same place eventually. So now I'm going to wash the rest of Tucker, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my sponge and absorb my shampoo water. I'm going to use this to transport the shampoo over to him, and then I'll take my scrubby and scrub it in. These aren't actually made to put your fingers through, but my hand's small enough that I can. So what I do, I start at the highest point possible on the horse. So I'll start at the horse's neck, and I'll just get that shampoo everywhere. And the reason I like to start there is because it allows the shampoo to run down the horse, so I don't waste shampoo. And I'll just use my scrubby to scrub out all the dirt. So when I do the mane, I actually will put the shampoo in my hand, and then I'll go like this. And this is just, to me, the most effective way to get the mane clean compared to trying to scrub it. And I can just scrub, scrub, scrub. You like that, don't you? So when I do the horse's legs, I'm just going to use my sponge because it's a lot softer compared to the scrubby. And since the legs are a more sensitive part of the horse, I want to be as gentle as I can. And I can just wipe them off really well. You want to pay attention to if your horse has feathers like this even, that you really get these clean. These feathers are great for holding in moisture to your horse's legs, so it can cause some skin issues under there. So if you have a draft horse that has feathers, that's one thing you have to be really aware of. So I like to really scrub right there behind my horse's pasterns just to get that nice and clean, because that's the area of the leg that's in the mud and the dirt the most. So another area you may just want to use the sponge on is their underbelly, and that's because this is another area that's a little bit more sensitive. And so I can just use my sponge to wash back here. So when you go to wash the hind end, it's important to always remember to stay to the side of the horse for obvious reasons. You don't want to get kicked. You know, I want to make sure his butt cheeks are clean and all that. So I can just scrub back here, and always be careful if you're not comfortable or you don't know the horse that well, because who knows how they're going to react. So now I'm going to wash the tail, and I'm going to show you guys a really easy way to do this. So if you may have noticed when I sprayed him off in the beginning, I didn't spray his tail, I didn't wet it or anything. Because what I'm going to do is I'll pull his tail over here, because like I said, you want to stay to the side. I'm going to put it in my bucket that still has water and soap and shampoo in it. And I can just stuff it in there. I'm going to let it absorb all that shampoo that's left. Oh, you're all right, buddy. There, now I got a nice shampoo tail. And I can kind of pull the tail up so I can get the rest of the tail, and he does not like that. And I just want to make sure it's all lathered up and getting clean. So I just got to be sure to spray off his tail when I hose him off so I can get all the shampoo out. So now that he's been shampooed and all clean, now it's time to hose off the shampoo. And this is because if the shampoo dries in the coat, it can look nasty, and it can also cause their skin to dry out. So I'm going to hose him off, and I want to make sure I get the mane, because the mane is still all sudsy, all over his body and his tail, because we washed his tail. Oh, look how clean. Oh, you smell clean too. So now that our horse is completely bathed, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this tool called a squeegee to remove all the excess water off of him. The reason you want to do this is because if it's really hot out and you just turn your horse out and they have all this water on them, the water can actually make them retain heat, and it can cause them to overheat. And so I'm just going to use this thing to remove the water, and it's going to help them dry faster. What it feels like you're doing is just scraping your horse off, but you'll see all the extra water that's coming off of him. So even though I have squeegeed him off, he's still wet. So if you're bathing your horse and it's a little bit more nippy out or it's cold, one thing you'll want to do is put a fleece over them. A fleece is just a fleece blanket, and it helps keep them warm as they dry. Otherwise, if it's cold out, the horse may get chilled. But right now it's pretty comfortable temperature out. It's about 75. So I'm just going to let him air dry And as I do that, what I'm gonna do is brush out his mane and tail and make him look all pretty. Okay, so I've moved Tucker to the aisle so he can get the breeze that goes in and out and dry off. What I'm gonna do, I have my detangler here. I'm gonna brush out his mane and tail so they are not snarly. And I'm also gonna spray this on his coat at the end just to give him a nice shine, and his coat will be silky smooth, yes it will. But I'll start with his mane and tail for now. So real quick, I am gonna put a link in the description to all the products we've used today. So if you'd like to purchase some of these products, you can check out those links in the description. So now that I've sprayed him off and everything, I'm just gonna brush. And you'll notice the detangler, I use Cowboy Magic. We're not sponsored by them or anything, but their product is really good. I notice if you use it, it does make their coat really soft, and it does make it super easy to brush out their mane and tail. So I'm gonna show you all my technique for brushing out the tail. So as you notice, I'm standing next to the horse's rump, and I'm just gonna pull the tail over. But the best thing to do, I notice, is like just grab the tail at the bottom and start there. Otherwise, if you try to just brush it, it's gonna be way too hard. So I put the detangler in, and it's a lot easier to brush. And as I start getting my brush through there more easily, I'll move my hand up. So it may sound like the tail is snarly, which it is, but this is nothing compared to if you don't use the detangler. And if you're also someone who is focusing on like growing out your horse's tail, you can use just a hard brush, like a body brush, and that will be a little bit more gentler on the tail. Finished product, folks. So here are some things to consider when it comes to bathing your horse. If you just got a new horse and you don't know much about it, you may want to be a little bit more cautious when you go to hose them off the first time. So you may want to have someone hold the horse instead of tying them up. Just in case the horse does freak out, it's less likely that they'll hurt themselves if someone's holding them compared to if they're tied up or something like that. Another thing to note is you should have an experienced horse person with you if you're going to bathe your horse for the first time and you're not sure how they're going to react. And that person will be able to guide you through the situation and help you out if there is anything that you do need someone to help you with. So if you do have a horse that has a problem with water, we have a video on working with spooky horses or horses that need to be desensitized. So I will put the link in the description to that video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel and like this video for more weekly horse videos.